researcher in the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, and today I'll be presenting about the marketing strategies of the pharmaceutical and medical device industry in Ireland and Europe. So, the pharmaceutical and medical device industries interact with healthcare professionals and healthcare organisations in a range of ways. Examples include sponsorship of educational events, pharmaceutical representatives meeting with healthcare professionals to discuss products, healthcare professionals being paid by the pharmaceutical or medical device industries to act as consultants for them, industry paying healthcare organizations through sponsorship agreements or through donations, and finally, payments related to research and development to healthcare professionals or healthcare organizations. So these payments and interactions can, at least in part, be considered marketing tactics. A very useful systematic review in 2017 found that there is a consistent association between physician interactions with the pharmaceutical industry and inappropriately increased prescribing rates, lower prescribing quality, and/or increased prescription costs. These findings mean it's of importance to research these interactions and payments more closely. So I'm going to briefly discuss with you the findings of 3 studies that we conducted. The first is a series of qualitative interviews with general practitioners, or family physicians as they're often called, who are based in Ireland, to understand their views and perceptions of the pharmaceutical and medical device industries. Secondly, we will analyse a payment database which documents industry payments from the pharmaceutical industry to healthcare organisations and healthcare professionals in Ireland. And the third study relates to a medical device industry payment database, quantifying payments to healthcare organisations based in Europe. We conducted qualitative interviews with 22 general practitioners, and using thematic analysis, we developed 5 themes. The first was the interface between general practitioners and industry. We found that general practitioners met with industry representatives in their practice as frequently as daily, and some didn't meet with them at all. Though we also found that general practitioners tended to meet with pharmaceutical representatives at conferences and educational events. When they met with representatives, they perceived representatives as using a range of methods of trying to influence them. For example, providing them with gifts or giving them biased information in favour of their products. This led to an uncomfortable relationship where some interviewees described not wanting to meet with industry but feeling under pressure to do so, either by their peers or by the representatives. However, some GPs felt that meeting with representatives was very useful and provided them educational information. This brings us to perceptions of unconscious influence. So some of the interviewees felt they were unconsciously influenced by the pharmaceutical representatives and biased towards using their products. Whereas, as I mentioned earlier, others thought they were consciously influenced and that this was positive. Overall, there was a lack of knowledge of relevant regulations in relation to the interface between general practitioners and pharmaceutical representatives. Now coming to the second and third studies about payments by industry to healthcare practitioners and healthcare organisations. So we're going to look at 2 websites. The first is transferofvalue.ie. This is a website set up by the Irish Pharmaceutical Healthcare Association, who represent pharmaceutical companies in Ireland, and it documents a range of payments that are made by those pharmaceutical companies to healthcare professionals and healthcare organisations in Ireland. The second website, seen on the right here, is transparentmedtech.eu. This website is set up by MedTech Europe, and it documents payments by medical device companies to healthcare organisations based in Europe. These payments only relate to education, whereas the payments on transferofvalue.ie relate to education, as well as research development, donations, grants, and consultancy arrangements. So firstly, we're going to look at pharmaceutical industry payments in Ireland to healthcare professionals and healthcare organisations between the years 2015 and 2019. So, to clarify, healthcare professionals includes a range of professions, such as doctors, nurses, dentists, and others. Healthcare organisations includes hospitals, primary care clinics, universities, as well as several others. So, between those years, there was more than €163 million in payments. About half of these were related to research and development, and there's very little information provided on these. The other half were payments related to the 6 categories at the bottom of this slide. So over half of the remaining payments went to healthcare organisations and is primarily related to donations as well as sponsorship for events. The third biggest category was event travel paid to healthcare professionals. Then looking at medical device industry payments to European healthcare organisations, we see there's approximately €421 million worth of payments made by 116 different companies. It should be pointed out that these payments only relate to education and are only to healthcare organisations. They don't cover the other payments I was describing previously, and they don't cover payments to healthcare professionals. These payments were reported in 53 countries, some of which were actually outside Europe. But 10 countries made up 94% of payments. The top country was Switzerland, and this was largely driven by one healthcare organisation, AO Technology, which received about €150 million across the 3 years from Johnson & Johnson. AO Technology is an educational company acting across Europe. Other countries of interest are Spain, which had a very high level of payments, Luxembourg, and Austria. There are a range of shortcomings with the database that mean we're not getting the full picture in terms of payments. These shortcomings apply to both databases, but primarily to the medical device industry database. So firstly, many companies are not members of the organizations that run these databases. This means that some pharmaceutical and medical device companies are making some payments, but they're not reported on any database. Secondly, many payment areas are not included. So for example, on the medical device industry database, only education-related payments are included, and payments related to consultancy agreements, for example, are not reported on the database. Thirdly, the databases are not very transparent because some healthcare organizations are anonymized, meaning we don't know the identity of the recipient of some payments. For the pharmaceutical industry database, many healthcare professionals are anonymized, meaning we don't know the identity of the recipients of those payments. Overall, industry clearly use a range of marketing tactics to influence healthcare in Ireland and Europe. This includes large payments that may be biasing the practice of healthcare professionals and healthcare organizations, as well as measures that don't include payments, such as pharmaceutical representatives meeting with healthcare professionals. There are examples of mitigation measures in the Irish healthcare system. This includes some healthcare organizations who don't meet with pharmaceutical representatives, and some healthcare organizations who refuse to accept payments from the pharmaceutical and medical device industry. There's a large potential for strict policies such as these to be introduced to address the negative effects of marketing tactics. I'd like to discuss one major policy impact from the research I've just discussed. A piece of legislation has been introduced in the Irish Parliament based on our research to try to create an Irish Sunshine Act. This would mandate pharmaceutical and medical device industries to report payments to healthcare professionals and healthcare organizations publicly and be fully transparent. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me today. You can find publications associated with the information I've just given you at the QR codes seen here. You can use your phone to scan them and access the URLs. And if you have any questions at all, I'd be delighted to answer them and discuss the projects. Thank you and have a good day.